One of your officers told me recently that this is a war zone, just in this area alone. Looking at crime statistics, crime's up 30% here. When you hear those types of statements about your city, your area here, a neighborhood like this, where residents feel sometimes defeated, how does that make you feel?
Well, obviously it doesn't make me feel good. It really just makes me more determined. It tells me that we got a lot of work to do in this particular community. While this is the story of this community, the dynamic thing about Washington, D.C., you can drive 2 blocks and people have a different experience. So we have to focus in, we have to work with community members, we have to work with our partners to do everything that we possibly can to make this community as safe as it possibly can be. And that starts with the people here. It really does. It starts with the people here. It starts with forming relationships with the people that are here, making sure that people feel comfortable reaching out to law enforcement when there are things happening in the community that people don't support. And you'd be surprised, but people are starting to really share a lot of that information, and I certainly appreciate it. I mean, just since we've been out here, you've seen, people, sharing things with the chief or talking to the chief, and I see more and more of that happening. So that's a good indication for me, but also an indication that we need to double down our efforts in neighborhoods that have challenges.
Being that you're from here and you're the chief of the city you grew up in and went up the ranks as we know about your career, to see the city where it is now, are you pleased with it, or are you thinking that there's much more that can be done?
Well, I grew up in our city in the height of the crack epidemic when we had almost 500 murders in our city, and that's not where we are now. At a time where we didn't have a lot of development, you didn't look around and see cranes. So I'm excited about what happens in Washington, D.C. Is there work to be done? Absolutely. There are places that we can improve all over the place. But I'm confident that this city is a resilient city, that this police department is a resilient police department, and we will see this through. We will see it through, and we will be a better city because people will get on the same page. Again, my message hasn't changed. It's not going to change. I'm encouraged every day by citizens, just as the ones we just saw. I'm encouraged every day by citizens. Chief, you keep telling your truth, and I will keep telling my truth until we all, when I say we all, meaning everybody who calls Washington, D.C. home, everybody who loves this place, people who does business in this city, till we're on the same page about where it is we want to be with crime and how we want to treat people who choose to. Because a lot of times violent actors, through my lens, they make a decision to harm our communities. And we all need to be on the same page about how we deal with people who choose to bring harm to our communities.
Speaking of those residents, what do you hear from people when they talk to you? People that stop you on the street, what do you hear from them?
Well, you hear the guy right there saying, y'all doing a good job, man. So I hear a lot of that. But I also hear people saying, hey, Chief, we need some help over here. Hey, Chief, we need some focus over here. So, it's Washington, D.C., right? Everybody has their opinion, all right? We can all look at the same thing and people have different opinions about it. But, as I said, man, look, people respond differently depending on their proximity to the pain, and I mean that with everything in me. When those gunshots are right outside your window, you feel a certain kind of way about that. If it's in another neighborhood that's not your neighborhood, maybe you don't feel as bad about it, you know what I mean? But we have to understand that we need each other in this city, and it's going to really take everybody working together. It's not just the police, it's not just council, just courts, just the mayor, just the citizens. It's not any of that. It's all of those things working together to really achieve the goals that we want to see. When we had a 10% reduction in homicides last year, 4% reduction in violent crime, or 7% reduction in violent crime last year, everybody said, oh yeah, all these different things are working, starting to work, But it's funny to me that when we talk about, hey, look, we're seeing an uptick in crime, the only person kind of holding the mic explaining it is, okay, the chief has to explain that. No, it's all of us working together. What are we doing in our collective spaces? Whatever your, if you have a business, do you have cameras up around your business, as an example, to catch when, bad things happen so that will assist in the investigation? Or if you're a homeowner, the mayor has a rebate program. Take advantage of that. Put a camera up around your house if we need that footage to help solve crimes. And I will tell you that video footage from crime scenes is like gold for us. And it has helped as recent as the shooting that we just had yesterday, or the 2 shootings that we had over the last 2 days. There's video footage that has helped us to advance those investigations, and I would encourage people to participate, if you will, in the fight against crime by doing what they can in their respective spaces to help out.
Talk about how difficult this job is. I mean, obviously you're from here. This could have very well been your dream job, but to see the violence, the wanton violence and the murders and the sex crimes in your city,
Yes.
how do you take that home at night? How do you process that?
Well, I try not to take it home at night. I've been doing this for a long time, and I tell you that, you know, it weighs on you. You know, you see people at their worst a lot of times. It's nothing more piercing to me than to hear a mother who's screaming out because she lost her child. And the only thing between her child that's laying on the ground and her is a police officer that's standing there trying to protect the crime scene. Right? I mean, that's something that pierces the heart, man. And you hear those screams. They're cases, specific cases. You know, for me, it's like they happened yesterday when I think about certain cases. And, you know, it's something that just kind of comes with the job. I mean, obviously, you don't like to see murder. You don't like to see people at their worst. But here's also an opportunity for me to help as best I can as chief of police to make sure that we're focused in on every single case, not just this case because it happened in this neighborhood. I don't care what neighborhood it happened in, but let's focus in. Let's make sure, you know, that I keep these officers, that I keep these detectives motivated and focusing in on helping our communities, man, because they need it everywhere.
Has it been worth it to be in this job?
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely has been worth it. I mean, I feel like I got the best job in the city. I really do. And I say that. I feel like I got the best job in the city, man, and I say that through the lens of I get to help people every single day. Yes, I get to see the worst of the worst of the worst. Yeah, that's part of it. But I also get to encounter grandmothers and little kids, and a lady who saw me at a school the other day, like, yo, that was cool what y'all were doing over at the school the other day when y'all brought the resources in and the band and so forth, right? So, like, I get to do some amazing things to give back to my city every single day. Yes, I have a law enforcement responsibility. Sometimes that means, you know, that some folk got to go to jail. But I think about the good that's done. I think about the people whose faces we bring smiles to, the children who we impact their lives day in and day out. You know what I mean? Who have first, like real relationships with our police officers, who are supporting some of these young people, even now while they're in college, financially offering support to young people that they met when they were police officers on this job. So, you know, where else do you get to do that, especially like in a city that you love? I mean, this is my home, man.
Right. Last question. Commanders could possibly be sold. Would you like to see that team come to DC?
Absolutely, man. I think that you know, having the franchise here in Washington, D.C. would be excellent for the home team. You know, what greater place to have a football team than the nation's capital, and to actually have them playing here. I remember as a kid, I lived not far from the Commanders Stadium. At the time, they were not the Commanders, but we would oftentimes, like around the third quarter, make our way from the neighborhood where I live, like to the stadium, to just try to sneak in and get a peek of the team. You know, whether you were a Commanders fan or not, you know, it was just the kids being able to see, you know, these professional football players, you know, at the peak of their game, playing here in our nation's capital, and I would love to see that again.
Great, excellent. Chief, thank
Pleasure.
you so much.